be a short, brief, impromptu live. Simply put, Biden just concluded another speech in front of a national audience. Obviously, most of us are going to be watching Biden more for what not necessarily what Biden is saying, but how he is saying it. At this point, when it comes to President Biden, more folks are going to be focused on how he speaks as opposed to what the hell he's saying. So, I want to get the mindset of you folks. I want to hear from you folks. How did you think Biden done? For you folks who actually watched the speech, do you believe that Biden redeemed his image in any way, fashion, or form? I see somebody says hiding with Biden. Okay, hiding in the basement. That's where I'm currently at. So, did any of you folks believe that the speech that Biden had tonight, whereas maybe he was a bit more coherent, or did he sound just as bad as he did at the Republican national debate? Now, I like in the comments, let me see if I can get my damn glasses on, Mizukaj Ramen, that's a hell of a name, but I want to, because you gave him a 7.5 out of 10. Let's do that. In regards to Biden's speech this evening, not for what he said, but in terms of the appearance that he had, his cognitive abilities in order. Judge it on a scale of 1 to 10. 10 being phenomenal, 1 being it really sucked. I'd be just on the speech tonight. We're not talking about anything else. What number, scale of 1 to 10, would you give President Biden in terms of his cognitive abilities this evening? We're not talking about whether you agreed or disagreed with what he said, because he hammered Trump. So obviously there's going to be a hell of a lot of you folks that don't like what he said. But did he speak in a manner that was clear to understand, did not look like he could barely talk and things like that? I see some folks are saying 7.5 on TikTok. My YouTube audience is really far more to the right. I mean, I'm getting 2s and 3s. Somebody give him a 0.5. That's unfairly low, I'll tell you that. But on TikTok, there's a lot of 7s and 8s and 9.8, really? David John, you give him a 9.8. Wow. Now, he did make a few gaffes. I believe he confused President Trump with Kamala Harris. I think he introduced, did he confuse Putin? He introduced somebody else or something like that to Putin. Because I only seen about 85% of it. I missed the beginning of it. And apparently there was already one gaffe in it. Now I see in the comments, what does that say? Rainy Canes is saying a gaff machine. Is that what you saw this evening, though? Did he make that many gaffes? Did you see it like that this evening? He isn't calling the shots, man, says Sensational. If Trump, I bet yet, if Biden is not calling the shots, who the hell is? Who is calling the shots? If Biden is not calling the shots for the Democratic Party, I'd be curious to know who is. And he said, I see in the comments, Draco says that he calls Zelensky President Putin. I don't, and this is what I'm saying is that it's so easy at this point because Biden has to get up there and speak for an hour or more and understand the entire time he's speaking. Folks are judging his the clarity of his words with a fine-tooth comb. I'm just going to be clear. In my humble opinion, I think I'm a fairly decent speaker. I don't know if I could go an hour, hour and a half without one gaffe, without one fuck up. I mean, that's asking a bit much. Now, for instance, when Biden confused Trump with Vice President Kamala Harris, I did a video and I brought up that Trump confused Nancy Pelosi and Nikki Haley on more than one occasion. He was doing it, but because we weren't looking for it as much, he didn't get blamed for it. So I don't know. And I see in the comments some folks say more than he had more than one gaffe. I watched the speech. I watched at least an hour of it. I just see gaffe after gaffe after gaffe. How many gaffes do you, if you had to estimate, how many gaffes, how many screw ups did Biden do tonight in terms of gaffes? I didn't see it like that. But let me go into the box. Maybe because Rainey called it a gaffe machine. So Rainey, I'll start out with you. By the way, moderate. Good evening to you. Rainy, good evening. Let me turn off my damn Bluetooth. I just realized that's on there. Okay, Rainy, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear
Okay,
me?
loud and clear. I had to get my equipment straight. So you referred to Biden as a gaff machine. Is that based on tonight's performance?
No, no, no. What I was saying is I'm 51, Tim. You and I, as long as I've been alive, he's been a gap machine.
True.
So to me, I think that's just normal Biden to mix up somebody's name. But I thought he commanded all of the points very well. It was actually very shocking. Not to say I didn't believe in him, but I thought he did great. And I only heard the one gaffe in the press conference. What you're talking about, the Zelensky Putin comment,
Right.
that was in
Well,
the
he also
before.
he did confuse Nancy. He did confuse President Trump with Vice President Harris because I was watching it on
He
Fox.
said that was the one gaffe. That was the one.
No, he confused Vladimir Putin too.
No, what I was saying, the Putin thing was in the event prior to the
Oh,
press.
okay, fair
I'm just
enough.
saying Vice President Trump comment was in the press conference.
Okay.
You asked the specific question, but I know you got other callers. I just wanted to come up and tell you I thought he did really good. I thought his performance was very strong. Like I said, Joe Biden could be literally standing on doing a cartwheel, reciting the Constitution backwards, and people will still fucking have a problem with it. So it's not the man that can do. He just has to understand it is what it is. He's got a media, and then his own party is backstabbing him right now on live TV. The Democrats fucking make me sick.
Okay, Randy. I don't think you're the only one. I think a whole lot of folks are a bit angry that the Democrats are really tearing into Biden so much. But I mean, you can't blame people for wanting a president that has his cognitive abilities in order, can you?
I mean, but if you have cognitive problems, you can't recite foreign policy in the way this man just did. Global affairs. That's not a thing. Joe
Yeah.
Biden is old.
Yeah.
He's got aging problems, not cognitive problems. That's my
Yeah, but Randy, Trump is only 3 or 4 years younger than Biden, and folks would suggest he don't go out there looking like that.
looking like what? Tonight? Or you mean on the
Being a gaff machine, the gaffes, the confusing things, the stuff that Biden does. Trump doesn't know. He doesn't do that anywhere near to the level of Biden.
I completely disagree. I mean, the sharks and the battery boats and all of that, and electricity, and babies are being unlocked after birth. I mean,
All right.
is in your heart. Like, come on. Like, don't give me that, Tim.
I gotta test you out. I gotta push it to the limits. Fair enough. So at the end of the day, if you had to give Biden on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being perfect, what would you grade it?
I'm gonna give him a solid 8.8.
Wow.
He gets an 8.8 for me, and only because I think he just did good. I wish he had taken more questions, but it went 58 minutes. The presser was 58 minutes, so I think he did good. Hopefully, that was good enough for the media.
It ain't gonna be, but fair enough. So you do believe he's ready for game day?
Yeah, he's got no choice. And he was very convincing. I like when he said, if the delegates want to fucking vote for somebody else, let him. I thought he was really, earlier in the week, he was very much so the Wolf of Wall Street. I'm not leaving, okay?
Yeah.
I'm not going nowhere. So I think he was a little more softer today. Just understanding what's happening in the Senate and the House. So, but anyway, like I said, I know you've got a lot of guests. I'll talk to you soon, friend.
All right, appreciate you coming through, Rainey, as always. Such a pleasure. And in the comments, Ajax says, come on, Tim, quit trying to cover for him. Listen, I'm not here to cover for Biden. The moment we saw the presidential debate 2 weeks ago tonight, it was 2 weeks ago tonight, I got on here right away and said, my first two words were Biden sucked. I didn't cover for him. But I do want to ask you folks, you seen the debate 2 weeks ago. Do you really believe he sounded just as bad tonight? Is that your opinion? Because folks are saying, well, you're covering for Biden and come on. Do you really believe Biden sounded just as bad tonight as he did when he was debating President Trump? I'm not seeing that. I'd be curious to know who's seeing that and why. Listen. I'm not here to pretend like Biden's some great guy or there's any reason to, to step up and defend Biden outside of your element. But I'm just simply saying, even if Biden spoke a foreign language that I didn't understand, the guy I saw on stage 2 weeks ago versus tonight, I mean, he could barely speak 2 weeks ago. He was very low tone. You don't see any difference at all. Wow. Looking at the comments, he was reading a teleprompter, Tim. How could he be reading the teleprompter unless he knew? You're telling me he knew all the questions they were going to ask? How could it be a teleprompter tonight? I don't know if that quite makes sense because these were questions being asked of him. It wasn't him giving a speech. Unless, as I stated, you believe that the questions were given to him ahead of time, or perhaps while the questions were being asked, somebody was typing on the teleprompter what to say. I don't know where you're going with that. Feel free to clear that up. Nevertheless, we will continue on with Dream Big. Good evening, Dream Big. You can't seriously believe the questions aren't pre-approved. I get your point in regards to the questions being pre-approved, but that don't mean they tell Biden what they're going to be. What are you suggesting, that Biden knew every single question in every single order that was going to be asked? Dream Big, good evening.
How you doing?
I'm doing good. Did you see the speech this evening?
Yes, and I'm trying to wrap my head around how you're defending that he was not worse tonight than he was the other night. Like, he literally called Kamala Harris, he called her President Trump, his vice president. He didn't even answer any question. He rambled on about everything but any of the questions. He was so bad tonight.
So you believe Biden tonight was just as bad, if not worse, than when he debated Trump?
I think worse.
Really? I mean, his voice was crumbling when he debated Trump. I mean, he completely lost his train of thought. Now, you may be correct in saying some of the questions he didn't answer, but folks are going to easily push back and say that Trump did the same thing. Politicians routinely deflect and dodge questions. That's not unusual. But other than go ahead.
I understand. No, I understand exactly what you're saying in that fact, but I'm just saying, like, when they asked the reporter, he goes about Kamala Harris, and then he turned around and said, "Oh, I appointed Trump vice president." Like, that was like the guy's lost his mind.
But do you hold Trump accountable when he confused Nikki Haley and Nancy Pelosi several times, saying that Nikki Haley didn't provide security on January 6th?
No, I get you what you're saying. I'm saying neither one of them should be president, but Biden has completely lost his mind. He's not fit to be president. There's just no way.
Okay, I hear what you're saying. I'm not, like I said, I'm not here trying to defend Biden. I see a lot of folks in the comments don't like the way I'm speaking of this. Fair enough. It's about free speech here, but I gotta disagree. Huh?
You're always fair. So.
Thank you. Yeah, we can have a gentleman's disagreement. I would totally agree. On debate night, he sounded awful, but the idea that you're saying he sounded worse tonight, I just ain't seeing that. Wow.
I just feel like out of all the questions that, like, especially when they got to asking the reporters, I just feel like every time the reporters asked a question, he literally he answered maybe like half, and then he just started talking about nothing, and just didn't even make any sense what he was talking about.
Okay.
He just goes off of, I don't know.
It's not even deflecting. It's just random, incoherent, just gibberish.
That's the wife talking.
Nothing wrong with that. Good evening, ma'am. So you didn't understand anything. You just said gibberish. You didn't understand anything he was saying?
Oh, well, I mean, we understand what he's saying, but it just has nothing to do with what the questions were asked. He just goes off topic and starts talking about crazy stuff. Just start talking about stuff that has nothing to do with what the question was. That's what drives me nuts.
It is absolutely, blatantly, crystal clear, obvious that this man has mental decline and some type of either Alzheimer's or dementia. And if anybody is voting for him, morally, how the hell do you live with yourself putting your vote on an elderly man? First off, we shouldn't even have a president. I think what's the most screwed up is that we even have a presidential candidate that we are questioning their mental health.
Yeah.
He's over 8, both of them.
Neither one of them should be president.
We should not have a leader of the country who has to have a mental health evaluation of whether they have dementia. That shouldn't even be a subject.
Yeah, I don't disagree with the idea that they, in my opinion, they should be required to take a cognitive exam. I'm with you there. But when you start talking about gibberish and he didn't answer the question, he was asked, for instance, why or did he think Kamala could take the job if something happened to him, and why did he pick her? And he did point out that she's defending women's rights. I mean, you didn't hear that? He answered the question.
Yeah, I get. Yeah. I just think like we were talking about before. I honestly, neither one of them should be president. And then like I'm looking at the comments and like the girl like they always bring this up because that's all they have to defend is Trump is a rapist, blah blah blah, all this stuff. Listen, Biden's touches. We've seen the videos. He touches little kids. He sniffs little kids. I mean, like they both suck regardless.
Why don't you like Trump?
People.
Why don't you like Trump?
I like Trump. I like Trump as in like I feel like Trump got shit done, but I just feel like there needs to be a limit on when you can be president. I think 65 maybe is a cutoff because these people are just too old. It's getting crazy.
Did you go with any of the other 9 from Vivek Ramaswamy to Ron DeSantis, Chris Christie, Nikki Haley, Tim Scott? In the primary? Did you prefer one of them?
I forget his name. I always forget his name. What is his name? Ramaswamy, the Indian, that guy. I really liked him, honestly.
So you think he would have been a better leader than Trump?
Better than both of them, yes.
Wow. All right. Well,
I think anybody would be better than any. I mean, I don't even like Kamala Harris, but she would be better than both of them. I mean, at least she's young and she can speak a coherent sentence. This is the issue. Biden makes us look so weak as a country to other countries that they don't even give a crap about. Like they'll come after us now. You know what I mean? If you know what I mean, like.
Let me interrupt you. Let me interrupt you. I'll let you continue. But I gotta say, you surprised me and the audience when you stated that Kamala would be a better choice than both Trump and Biden. Did I hear that correctly?
Yeah, because she's actually mentally capable of doing the job. These two, Trump's a crazy guy. I mean, yeah, he gets. I don't know. They're both. Trump's not the greatest guy. Trump's a piece of shit in a sense of the way.
Is that the same sentiment? Your wife there in the background, ma'am. Is that your same sentiment as well? That Trump is a piece of shit, as your husband stating?
I've been waiting to jump in. I disagree. I don't want Kamala as president.
I know she does.
Absolutely effing not.
I don't either, but she would be a better pick out of those two, honestly. But that's just my opinion.
And the wife, you don't think that Kamala would be better than Trump?
Honestly, I feel like at this point, I feel like it's like voting for. Would you rather eat a pile of dog shit or a pile of diarrhea?
Let me ask you two.
Solid or runny?
Oh my God! You guys make an interesting conversation. Let me ask you, both of you folks. In 2020, where did your vote go?
Trump.
And so you don't think he's worthy of being reelected?
I
would reelect him, but I just feel like they're not going to let it happen.
What do you mean?
I'm not going to go conspiracy theories and all this.
You've already entered that realm. You can't back off now. Who won in 2020?
Well,
take your time.
I think Trump won. Like at least fake it. At least when they counted all those votes the next day and it was like whatever 6 million for Biden, whatever, I don't remember what it was, but they at least should have gave like Trump at least 20, you know what I mean? Instead of saying they're all Biden, instead of saying they're all Biden votes.
They should have gave Trump 20. What are you saying again?
I'm just being funny, like, cause they like when they counted those votes, the votes that they found or whatever happened,
right?
They were all for Biden. I mean, they could have at least lied and said that there was something for Trump to make it look at least not noticeable, you know?
It was like so obvious that they were jacking with the voting system.
Well, it would be nice if Trump, when he was in office, could actually have shown some solid proof that he won by a landslide other than pointing to a bunch of things that look suspicious and automatically
Right.
taking credit and suggesting, well, all of that would have been for me. Would have been better if he could have shown some proof. Just because something looks suspicious does not verify it actually took place. And he's saying he
Yeah.
won based on a bunch of things that look suspicious with no solid evidence.
Yeah. Let me ask you a question. Was your life better when Trump was president or now?
Now, because I make a lot, my job pays better. I have a better job than I had then, and not by a lot, but I mean, obviously,
But that's not. But it's not Biden's fault that you have a better job, is it? Or just you hardworking?
I don't attribute my job to Biden. Just like when Trump was in office, I didn't attribute my job to him. Both of them claim that they're creating jobs. I don't blame either one of them for my job.
Yeah. Well, because I feel like everybody knows this. I mean, because it was obvious. We've seen the numbers. Don't know whose fault it is or not fault. But do you feel like things were a lot more affordable when Trump was in office?
I certainly would agree that groceries were less, they weren't, inflation wasn't as bad, things like that when Trump is in office. People can argue and say that was his fault or that was not his fault. However, when Trump was in office, I don't like the fact that we had, Black Lives Matter riots and things going on. There was chaos. Trump was constantly attacking groups all over the country, attacking athletes. They were attacking him. Under Biden, we don't have all of that going on.
But you gotta remember this. What happened literally the day that Trump took office? They wanted him. They literally from day one they wanted him out of the office. They tried to hard. They did everything to get Trump out of there, even impeachment, everything from day one. They didn't want him to begin with.
But why would you start at day one? Did you forget that for 3 years Trump was trying to disqualify the guy before him by saying he was born in Kenya? Why are you starting at day one? There's a lot that happened in day zero.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, I mean, he was talking about locking Hillary Clinton up. I mean, Trump attacked a lot of people before day one ever came around.
Yeah, that's the things that I don't like about him. I wish he'd focus more on being a president and just doing the job instead of always going after somebody or doing this. Just like even at the debate, like he actually did pretty good at the debate. I feel like this time by holding back and not like.
Right.
I felt like he actually didn't. He could have went after Biden because Biden looked like an idiot, but he could have went and said stuff like that. But I feel like you could see in his face that he actually felt bad for Biden.
100% agree. Before I let you go, because I do got to move it on, but I will tell you this. George Clooney stated in a New York Times op-ed how he thought Biden was, his cognitive abilities were terrible and Biden needed to step down. Guess who took out the time to make sure they launched a huge attack against George Clooney, calling him the worst actor and his movies suck? Right after George Clooney said all of that about Biden, Trump gets on social media and attacks the guy this morning. That's what we're talking about, that stuff.
I hate that.
Yeah.
I hate when he does that.
Yeah. All right, good talk, by the way. Is that first time talking?
Yes.
Excellent.
Good talking to you, and I hope you have a great night.
By the way, if you're ever on it, because 1 p.m. Central is when we're on Monday through Friday. Crowds are normally about twice as large, so come on through anytime, man. Doors always open to you.
Have a great night.
You too. All right, moving the program on. That is what we're covering here tonight is how do you believe Biden performed? See, my last caller and many in the comments think he did actually worse than he did at the presidential debate. I don't quite subscribe to that theory. However, I would like to hear your opinion. So going back to the box, we'll continue the program on. Worse than the actual debate. Arshafan, one of my subscribers, good evening. Welcome to the program. I think he did better, says, was that Zena, something like Zima? I thought so also, but maybe I'm Arshafan. Good evening.
Hello, can you hear me?
Loud and clear. How did you think Biden did tonight? Did you see the speech?
I did. I was at work and I snuck up on and listened to it live.
Fair enough.
I honestly, I thought he did much better than the debate. I've listened to some of the callers tonight and, talking about, he speaks gibberish and this and that.
Right.
And I just want to. Has anybody listened to Donald Trump talking about electric batteries and boats?
Yeah, I mean, listen.
And wondering if what would be better, getting eaten by a shark or electrocuted in the water. I'm like, what in the world? And then now he's talking about, airplanes dropping out of the sky because of, using electric or solar, which they're not even talking about that. So there's a different, yes, Joe Biden stumbles. He, maybe he stumbled tonight. He had a couple gaffes. I remember, like, during the NATO, he did actually introduce Zelensky as Putin. He came right back out and said, I got Putin on my mind. I apologize, blah, 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 and redacted that. Yes, the Vice President Kamala Harris thing, I'm sure he's got Trump on his mind too. But I feel like he talked about his achievements with NATO. He talked about, his past 4 years as president and what's happening in that alliance. And was it perfect? No. He's not Obama. We had Obama as one of the best, I thought, speakers, or Clinton of my lifetime. But I thought he was much better tonight.
Well, but I would also say when Biden goes out there, he is literally being tasked with shooting a game-winning free throw. It is that much pressure on him because we know people are paying more closer attention to how he is speaking rather than what he's actually saying. So that's got to be high pressure to go out there for 50 minutes, an hour, and talk when you know everybody is literally listening for gaffes and to some degree hoping you screw up. No other president really has that type of pressure on them.
No, and he mentioned that when one of the reporters had said, "Are you willing, if you're a neurologist or whatever, to take a cognitive test?" And he said yes, and he said, "But even if I take that test, they're going to say what doctor was it? How many doctors were?" He can't. It's a lose-lose situation for him at this point, and I think it's always has been that way leading up into the last debate. And you've talked about this on your show, like, people are going to say, "Oh, well, who was the doctor?" And it's going to be a losing.
I could not agree more. If Biden takes a cognitive exam and it comes back that he is fine, it's either going to be, like you stated, it was a bunch of liberal doctors, or the guy was paid off, or it's going to, if a doctor deems Biden is okay, the next course of action is to go after the doctor.
Right, or they put him on drugs, or whatever. And another thing I would say, I did like the fact, I appreciated, I should say, the fact that when asked by that reporter, during the convention, if they decide on somebody else, and he's like, that's fine. Like, he's willing. He's not trying to be a king. He is about democracy, and I don't think, if all the delegates and everything, and they came in and they were like, we don't think you're our guy. We were there for you before, but we really think we could win you. I think he'd be like, okay, this is the American democratic process.
So let me ask you a question. Let me ask you this question. When everybody's suggesting that Trump he exhibits better cognitive abilities, what's wrong with Trump? Why not elect Trump?
He speaks nonsense, and it's normal. That's the thing I don't understand. He speaks absolute nonsense, like windmills killing birds,
wait, that does happen. Birds do die at the hands of windmills.
And the same thing with planes. Okay, so birds die. But he, like I said, I cannot unhear the boats.
Yeah.
And the sharks and like that doesn't even. I was listening to it, going, "What in the f is this man talking? Is he on drugs? Like, did he smoke? Well, maybe he needs to smoke a J." But I was like, this is like stoner shit. Like,
So no chance you're going to be seen wearing a MAGA hat anytime soon.
Oh no, because Trump's a racist.
Ooh, why do you say that? I need to get my damn notepad out.
Central Park 5 not willing to apologize about that. Black jobs. I don't know what the hell that is.
I don't know what the black job. Yeah, I don't know what the black jobs is.
Police immunity. Telling Colin Kaepernick he should just, just.
Yeah, I get your point.
Yeah.
You talking about get that son of a bitch off the field?
Being caught on a hot bike saying nobody in America is gonna believe a black man can win The Apprentice or whatever. Yeah, that's just bigot. I mean, maybe he's not racist, but he's definitely a bigot.
Wow. So, I mean, there is no shortage of African Americans that are voting for Trump. In fact, more are voting for Trump than any of the former Republican predecessors like Mitt Romney, even the Bushes, John McCain. Why do you think so many African Americans? I won't say it's not like a huge amount, but it's certainly more than other Republicans at his level in the past. Why do you think he's scoring more with Republicans if he is as bigoted as you're stating?
I think because of the culture war.
Yeah, I can see some
predominantly black men.
Yeah,
I don't, I can, the machismo, alpha male, maybe not understanding, having the fear-mongering that the Republican Party likes to do. I feel like that can sometimes sway maybe a black male.
Biden, you're getting one of my YouTube viewers with the name of Biden pooped his pants is referring to you as a Karen. I don't know where that's coming from, but feel free to tackle it any way you want. Based on your beliefs, why would somebody call you a Karen?
Oh my God. Well, normally my kids and I are calling other people Karens, but I'm sorry, I'm not the kind of girl or woman that says, "Can I speak to your manager?" So no, I'm not a Karen.
Fair enough. All right, Arsha, fine. Appreciate you coming on this evening. I just wanted to come on here after this debate, or not debate, but speech, and see how the folks thought about it. But I do appreciate you coming on. Come on back anytime.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a perfect scenario. We don't have a perfect scenario. We do have one that's better than the other. If you want to talk about maybe, Project 2025 and all those other circumstances that we can.
Well, Trump says he doesn't know anything about Project 2025.
He's an idiot. I mean, he says he doesn't know a lot about a lot of things, but then he knows a lot about everything he doesn't know. So I don't trust that man.
Fair enough. All right, Arsha fan. Appreciate you coming on. Have a good night.
You too. Bye-bye.
Yeah. And by the way, thank you, Tammy Green, for that puppy. I did notice that. That did not go unnoticed. I appreciate the support. And also, folks, tap the screen. I haven't solicited that at all. We got almost 500 people in here and well under 10,000. So we should be around about 20,000 likes. What did that say? The name there? Thank you for that. Kathleen. Thank you. Kathleen, I think that was who sent me that. Thank you. Tap the screen, get the likes up to about 15,000 to start the program off. It helps out the algorithm. You know what I always say, the program shall forever remain MAGA friendly. Yeah! Gregory, thank you for the hat and mustache. So, talking about Biden tonight, just wanted to do an abbreviated line to get you guys' opinion, because I'm hearing folks suggest that Biden sounded just as bad tonight as he did during the presidential debate. I personally am a bit at odds with that, but always good to have you folks on. God, you got some delusional viewers. Sad, says Scarecrow. Well, Scarecrow, feel free to elaborate on your point. I'll certainly read it. As you guys always know, this is free speech. We don't block, ban, or censor anyone for their commentary. Yeah! Ha! King Finn, thank you for the hat and mustache. You don't have to agree with anyone in the comment section on the program. You do not have to agree with the host. I'm all about free speech. We have an uncensored format. That is how we do it. Weekdays, 1 p.m. Central. Speaking of which, King Finn, good afternoon. Welcome to the program. Asking that question. How did you think Biden did tonight if you caught the speech?
Man, listen. I don't care how Biden do. I didn't care how Biden did at the damn presidential debate, because the scene is obvious. There's one person standing up there lying, just saying whatever he can to prove a point. There's another person that's standing there defending himself. So I kind of feel like every time Biden stands up there, he's just defending himself against whatever person wants to take shots at him, whatever person wants to say anything against him. It's kind of tiring because it's like, damn, like when is he gonna be able to just actually make a speech? But at the same time, he's a politician. You gotta do what you gotta do. Me, myself, I don't personally, one or two speeches is not gonna change my ideal for America. Sorry.
Yeah, that unfortunately, that time is over with for Biden because of what happened on the debate. I don't know if he can ever completely restore his image, at least as president. Anytime he gets out there, people are literally looking for gaffes.
I know. And that's, I mean, and again, like I said last time I was on the show, bro, we've come to a point in a political climate where that's what happens. Instead of actually listening to what is coming out of their mouths, we just try to listen to what we want to hear and what we don't hear and see how horrible it sounds when he says it. I mean, if we were going to, if this is the time that we're living in, then take for instance this example. The presidential debate. Yep, Biden sounded horrible. He wasn't on time. He kind of fumbled through his words. He was real slow with it, with his punchlines and stuff. He kind of looked like he was falling off. I agree. It wasn't his greatest speech, his greatest moment. Okay, but at the same time, look at the shit that Trump did. There were more than 5 or 6 times that the moderators literally had to go back and say, okay, but this is what the original question was.
Yeah.
Can you answer that now?
So why do you think that is?
Like it never really happened.
So why do you believe that is? That oftentimes folks hold Biden in terms of what's coming out of his mouth to a higher account than they are Trump. Why do you think that is?
I think personally it's because they all know the damn truth. It's a 2-party system. Some people want to go for Biden. Some people want to go for Trump. The people that want to go for Trump don't care what the fuck comes out of his mouth. Just like plenty of people that have been on your show said, I don't care what he says as long as he steers the country in the right direction. Well, they believe that that's the right direction. Unfortunately, I'm not a person that believes that. I believe that the right direction will be in Biden's corner. And I do care about the shit that's coming out of his mouth because he should be saying things that are morally correct. Unlike the other guy who doesn't give a fuck what comes out of his mouth, including the shit, including him taking the shit on stage, and including the reason why the camera panned out to a fire view, and he walked off with his shitty ass in his diaper. Okay, flat out.
What has Trump said to piss you off so much?
I don't think Trump really said anything. I'll be honest with you. The first thing he said that pissed me off was that he's going to run for president. There should have never been a time where a president, a person who's a game show host, should be running for president. Reagan was an actor. They let that shit pass. What happened? Reaganomics.
So, but how would you respond to somebody who would say that? It sounds like you planned on never giving Trump a chance from day one. You didn't give him a fair shake. You had it already made up in your mind on day one. You were not going to roll with this guy, and you'll get accused of Trump derangement syndrome. How do you respond to that?
Well, maybe they should look at the shit Trump had already done. That's how I respond. The Central Park 5. Yeah. Let's see. Him not wanting to rent his properties out to black people. The fact that he knew the 29 people on his staff who were undocumented in his Florida property, and he still lied like he didn't. I mean, we can go on and on and on. I can say, yes, I have Trump derangement syndrome because the motherfucker should have never been president in the first damn place. Okay, blank. Dude, look at the Lincoln Project just came out with an ad that pretty much says everything you need to know about the last 8 fucking years. He said what he was gonna do. He's done all this fucked up shit, and he's gonna do it again.
That almost sounds like promises made, promises kept.
Definitely does. Well, the problem with that is everything he's done has been things that are going to hurt everyone, not just help somebody. Think about it. Is Roe vs. Wade really good for everybody?
Well, I gotta play devil's advocate, Kingpin, and suggest that you're asking, is Roe versus Wade good for everybody? What about all of the babies that were going to be aborted that will now be born thanks to Trump?
Well, the question I have for you then is, sorry, let me not answer a question with a question. That's messed up for them. But then the question that I have for you is, What about all of the babies that are going to be born, to unfit mothers?
Yeah.
The moms who can't take care of these children? Is the government going to help take care of them? No, because the government wants to get rid of Social Security. Excuse me, not the government. The GOP wants to get rid of Social Security. They want to get rid of fucking welfare. They want to get rid of WIC. They want to cram the Bible down your throat in every fucking school system, and they want to keep doing moms of liberty type shit, where they get to subject everybody to their one fucking view, and then we become not a democracy, like so many people said. Oh my God, it's a democracy. Yes, because that's what we were. We were a republic that was practicing democracy, which is the fucking act and the focus of being different people, being different beings, having different opinions, and coming together to rule a fucking country. That's what we were supposed to do.
But what about the claims? Yeah, but King, what about the claims that under Trump you had a good economy, you could afford gas, you could afford groceries, you didn't have all these wars? Did not favor the times when Trump was in office?
Well, inflation was already happening, so they can keep all of the good gas, the good economic bullshit, because that boils down to nothing but corporate greed to me. The corporate people can lower the price of gas. The corporate people can lower the price of food. The corporate people can lower the price of rent with a fucking pen stroke, or with a keystroke, I should say, in a computer. None of that shit has anything to do with the presidency. The president does not set the price of gas. OPEC does. You understand? And so, I'm sorry if we really want to go just to the price of gas, but Biden was the one who opened up the strategic oil reserve, wasn't it? That drove the fucking price of gas down.
You don't
all
get
the people in the Saudis said, "Oh, please buy our oil, please buy our oil, because we don't need that shit, right? Because we got what, 15 billion barrels of fucking oil in the street."
Well, I gotta say, when it comes to deciding between Trump and Biden, a lot more folks give Trump credit for a better economy than Biden. Whether you think it's right or wrong, they do credit Trump for a better economy than Biden. So it is what it is. We'll see what happens. But I gotta move it on, King Finn. As always, appreciate you coming in.
One more thing,
real quick.
One more thing. If they credit Trump with the economy, credit Trump with COVID too. Peace.
Wow. Interesting. Passionate statement. And by the way, I think that it is the belief of most Americans that Trump did not handle the pandemic well. I do believe that. And some even believe that Trump has COVID deaths on his hands. James Phillips with an interesting comment on YouTube, and thank you, James, for your super chat, says fetuses don't care. Is that in reference to abortion? Fetuses don't care. I don't even want to dare try to interpret that. I will leave it up to you, James Phillips, to clarify that. What do you mean when you say fetuses don't care? Because, wow, that's, I'm going to just leave it up to you to clarify that. Greetings from Brooklyn, New York, Jose Perez. Greetings to you as well. How about Fauci having deaths on his hands for funding Wuhan illegally? Here's the issue I have before I go back to the box. Fauci was an advisor. And by the way, folks, tap the screen. The numbers on TikTok are pretty damn low. Not a lot of folks tapping the screen. Helps out the algorithm, brings in more MAGA. You know the program is always will be MAGA friendly. Nevertheless, liberals are welcome on the program. But one thing I don't like about the, who was it? Marjorie Taylor Greene suggested that Dr. Fauci should be incarcerated. And a lot of folks on the right agree. My pushback is this. Dr. Fauci was an advisor. He does not make laws. He does not pass legislation. So if Dr. Fauci is giving out bad advice, how does the person that continues to take the bad advice and implement it and make it law not get held accountable for that? Everything Dr. Fauci did, for the most part, while people were pissed off, most of that stuff was under the Trump administration. Yet somehow they're separating Fauci from Trump. That just simply does not make any sense to me. I mean, if the example I always use is, if the coach is listening to the plays being provided by the defensive coordinator and the team loses, the coach don't get to blame the defensive coordinator for the loss. It's on you. You didn't have to accept this play. You didn't have to do this. Trump could have reallocated Fauci back to the HIV task force or something else. He didn't have to keep putting Fauci on television with him every night. So the idea that Fauci should be held accountable for what happened during the pandemic, but Trump gets a complete pass, even though they're on television working in concert together, makes no sense to me. It just simply makes no sense. If the guy sucks, why is Trump on television standing next to him day after day after day? At some point, you got to say, well, Mr. President, this guy doesn't know what he's doing, and by you continuing to bring him on television is making people think you don't either. I mean, he's having Fauci on television by day, allowing Fauci to give out advice to the American people, such as social distancing, wearing masks. This is what Fauci is telling the people. Get vaccinated, all of this stuff that many thought was bullshit or bad advice. So Trump goes to a rally at night. Everybody's yelling, fire Dr. Fauci and all of this stuff. Making it clear they don't think Fauci knows a damn thing about what's going on. And then the next day you turn on television and guess who you see? Trump standing right back next to Fauci again. And then later that week, Trump hosts a rally. Once again, the people are telling him again, this is a bad guy. And then the next morning, he's back on television with him again. And somehow, some way, Trump doesn't get held accountable for any of that. That's confusing to me. That is confusing to me. It's like you're just giving him a total pass as if he was a baby or something. That just doesn't make any sense to me. But going back to the box, maybe somebody can help clear that up, why Fauci deserves to be hammered, but Trump gets a complete pass. Gabriel in the comments, since when is putting public health first bad? Well, Arshafan, I agree with you, but they're saying he gave bad advice. And at the end of the day, that's all it was advice. It took legislators like Trump to make that advice become reality. Gabriel, good evening to you.
How's it going?
Hey, I saw you in the comments. The floor is yours.
Yes. Florida, Georgia, I'm from Arizona. It's hot as hell out here.
Fair enough. So what brings you on tonight?
I was just listening, chiming in on all this shit.
What's on your mind?
Crazy.
Did you see Biden speak?
Yeah.
What's your opinion?
Yeah, I saw it. I think it's sad.
So you think he did a poor job tonight?
Don't we all?
No, I think a lot of folks think that compared to the debate, I think a lot of folks believe Biden performed fairly well tonight.
So compared to the debate,
Yeah.
he took a little more Adderall. Is doing good.
Got any evidence of that?
No, I'm just saying.
Okay, well, I mean, if you're going to throw it out there, I'm going to challenge you on it. I mean, you're saying the president took Adderall so that he would perform better. I'm going to ask you, do you have evidence of it?
Nope, I don't.
Okay.
I was just kind of making a joke.
Fair enough. So why do you think what did he do so bad tonight?
And how come he can't keep his head so clear? Because he's the president of the United States, right?
Yeah.
He's the leader of the free world.
Okay.
He can't call. He has to call Vice President Trump.
Yeah, he confused Kamala Harris with He confused Kamala Harris with President Trump. But is that so?
He gets confused sometimes.
Yeah,
Not
but
all the time, but a lot of times he gets confused.
okay, is that something that's unique to Biden? Did Trump not confuse anybody at all?
Did he also confuse Vladimir Putin with the president of Ukraine?
No, he confused other people. I mean, he confused Nikki Haley with Nancy Pelosi.
So he gets confused a lot.
No, Trump confused Nikki Haley with Nancy Pelosi.
No, I'm giving another example of this. Yeah, maybe I was one to another one. He got confused with the president of Ukraine.
Okay, so I'm trying to get clarity. What's your point on this?
There's a lot of confusion with him.
Okay. I don't disagree with you, but what I'm asking you is this. When Trump confuses things, does it register with you? And does that mean anything? Because Trump also has... Go ahead.
So if you take it, you got to take the good and the bad with both of them.
Right.
That way too. With their confusion.
I don't quite get what you're saying.
say, how many times did Trump get confused, and how many times did Biden get confused?
That's a good question, and I'm going to say right off the bat, I don't have an answer to that because a lot of times when Trump confuses things, nobody's really scrutinizing his speeches like that. We know Biden is a gaffe machine, as one of my guests pointed out. So we're paying close attention to the gaffes that Biden makes. However, when Trump does it, we don't pay attention to it because we think he is sane and completely within his faculty. So we attribute Biden making a mistake to showing that he has a reduction in cognitive abilities. But when Trump does it, well, it's just a mistake. So Trump is getting an advantage there.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's like, well, he just got confused one time. Or he just got confused this time. Or he had a cold this time. It's always excuses for Biden. There's always something.
I don't know about it. I don't know if it's excuses for Biden. We're asking Biden to step down because of his gaffes. We're not asking Trump to do that.
Does he have as many as him?
No, but he has a significant amount of them. I mean, he talked about the.
Right? But who's got more?
Is that how we judge it? Who has the most?
I would think so.
Okay, all right.
If I'm doing poor at my work, and you're doing okay with your work, but I'm doing a whole lot worse, wouldn't we judge that on my work ethic?
That's a fair point. I'd say this in response to what you're saying. I think you'd have even more Americans thinking that Biden needs to step down if his adversary was not Trump. I think because Trump, while his cognitive abilities may appear to be there, some of the things he is promising, and he is as clear as day when he makes the promise. For some people, that stuff is so radical, they would rather take a guy that may not have all of his cognitive facilities there. I get viewers regularly on the program that state they would vote for Biden even if he was in a coma over Trump, because some of the things Trump is promising are fairly radical.
That's pretty sad, right?
Well, it depends on if you. Let me ask you. Let me ask you this question: how do you feel about the Second Amendment?
Oh, I'm very pro.
Okay, perfect. So let me ask it to you this way. Let's say you had someone that was running for president that looked like Michael J. Fox and sounded like Ozzy Osbourne, completely out of their mind. You could barely understand what they were saying, but every now and then amongst their speech, you heard them say words like "shall not be infringed," "come and take it from my cold dead hands." And the other guy, the other guy that was running against him was as well-spoken as Barack Obama, but they were anti-2A. Who are you going to vote for?
I don't think that's the same way.
No, but I'm asking in this example, though, who are you going to vote for?
Okay, ask the question again, because I kind of lost it.
You got one guy that is completely off of his rocker. You can barely understand him, but when you do understand him, he is making it clear he believes that the Second Amendment shall not be infringed upon. He is a strong Second Amendment advocate, but he is completely off his rocker. The other guy is as well-spoken as Obama, but he's anti-2A. Who are you going to vote for?
Well, I vote for who's more incompetent, more competent.
So you vote for the guy that's competent even if he took your gun rights away?
I don't think if he was competent, he wouldn't take them away.
So you're saying everybody that wants to ban guns around the world are incompetent?
Everyone's got their opinions.
Okay, I don't know where to go with that. I think the way you're wording it is people have an issue with believing you. So, because you're basically saying, well, if somebody implements a policy that goes against my beliefs, they're incompetent.
No.
That's what you just said. That's what you just said.
If I watch Joe Biden and everything that goes on with him, I would say he's very, very incompetent to be president of the United States.
Yeah. But in the example I gave you, that is why I'm telling you, folks, even if what you're saying about Biden is true, I may disagree with you, but let's say what you're saying about Biden is true. The point is, what Trump is promising is so radical and frightening to some people that they would rather, huh?
What is that? What is he promising people?
Well, he promised to give police immunity from prosecution. How do you feel about that?
I don't think he ever said that at all.
You've never heard Trump promise to give police immunity from prosecution?
No.
Okay. I'm assuming you don't. I'm assuming you don't believe that he talked about. He doesn't have anything to do with Project 2025 either, right?
Nope.
Okay. Well,
I would love to see it, though.
say that again.
If you have I would love to see it if you have evidence of that.
Yeah, my damn computer is acting really funny today because there is plenty of evidence of him promising to get a cops community. There is evidence to that. And you wouldn't take you much even on your own device to find that. I'm surprised, and that says a lot that you've never heard that because this is what I talk about the importance of watching right wing and left wing media because left wing media is going to downplay anything that makes Biden look bad. And right-wing media is not going to show you Trump promising to give cops immunity. But I will tell you, as sure as you're looking at me, he absolutely said that.
Okay.
Okay. And yeah, like I said, if my computer was moving a little bit faster, I'd bring up the clip because he clearly said, and not only, it's not CNN, it's not MSNBC or somebody telling you, he's on camera saying it. He's literally on. Let me ask you this question. If you saw him on camera saying it, would that change your opinion at all?
Yes, it would. Absolutely.
In what way?
Well, it would make me question. I'm like, what the hell's going on here?
Okay. Would you consider that to be a radical promise?
I would agree.
Okay. All right. Well, then I would invite you, because like I said, right now, with the way my computer is acting, I'd invite you to, because it ain't hard to find that. And most likely by the time I move on to the next caller, I will be able to bring it up.
Basically, what you're saying is Trump says he wants to defund the police?
No. He said he wants to give police immunity from prosecution because he believes it will give them their power and respect back.
That they're just good old boys and
I don't. That's the problem is he didn't clarify it, so nobody knows what the hell he's talking about. Nobody understands. Like, if you get a police immunity from prosecution, how does that make people respect them?
If it's justifiable.
What do you mean by what do you mean by immunity justifiable to the point where it'll make people start respecting them? I don't quite get that.
Well, because it's a gray area. You can prosecute a police officer for saying, license registration. I don't want that. I ain't gonna give you nothing. Please be compliant. No, I ain't gonna be compliant. I don't have to do nothing for you.
Yeah.
And it gets aggressive.
Wait. Say that.
We have all these videos that have it and show it, and like, why the hell did you arrest me? Because you weren't compliant. You didn't do what I told you to do. You didn't ask. I asked you for your ID.
But they already have that now, and that's not something you need to do
of those
at this point. That's not something that Trump granting them immunity is not in any relation to what you're talking about. They already have protection from stuff like that.
Yes, sir. You're a good-looking guy.
I don't think this is. Let me see
Looks like
here.
a banker from Wall Street.
Let's see. This is only 2 minutes. I think this is it.
And I have grandchildren that I'm
Somebody's asking them a question, but it'll get clearer.
taking care of. But I want them to know that they can have the same life that I have had. We're going to make sure that they have the same. I can just see how incredible you are by the emotion of that and the way you asked the question. We're going to make sure they have the same life that you had or better. We're going to make it safe. We have to give authority back to law enforcement so they can properly protect people. Because right now, the law enforcement...
Now, he just said it there. You can't even hear it, though.
Crime is so bad with the citizen. One of the things I said is we're giving immunity. We're going to guarantee people. They lose a law enforcement person. They go and stop people from robbing stores. You go to some of these department stores where 500 people walk into the stores. They walk out with air conditioning. They strip the whole store. The company goes out of business. The store is vacant for 25 years. The whole city becomes a slum. And if you do anything as a law enforcement person, they take away your house, they take away your family, they take away your...
It's almost over.
We're going to make it so that we're going to give them essentially immunity. We're going to make it that they are not going to be using their pensions.
Okay, now he said he's going to give him immunity several times in there, but the audio is so terrible. I have videos that because he said it more than once, and it's clearer than that. The immunity claim in there, I mean, because it's echoey and the immunity is just really, you can barely understand it. So I'm trying to see if I can find another clip. But did you hear it at all in there?
No, it was so hard to hear. I couldn't. I couldn't
Okay.
hear what he
All
was
right.
saying.
Well, he certainly said it in there as well. But I got to move.
Police immunity.
Wait.
What you're saying is that he's giving cops to do whatever they want.
I mean, what is immunity? What is it?
Yeah, to do whatever you want.
Right.
It's fine. It's all justifiable.
So I mean, I'm just leaving, and that's the problem is that he didn't do any decent amount of explaining in regards to. I mean, because he said to give them their power and their respect back, and it's like people are baffled as to what the hell does that mean. I mean, how do you think giving the police immunity is going to make people start respecting them?
Because if I get pulled over, I'm getting pulled over for obvious reasons, right?
No, you're not always getting pulled over for obvious reasons. Maybe they're profiling.
No.
People get pulled over for reasons that they don't deserve to be pulled over for all the time.
Okay, well, you can see my profile picture. I'm not white. I'm brown.
Okay, then you should certainly understand it.
Nope. Unfortunately, I don't. When I get pulled over, if they say license registration, that's what I do.
$5.
There you are.
That's enough to
Right.
make a difference in this election.
Yeah, but you assume that no one gets wrongfully pulled over. Is that what you're saying?
Oh, it happens all the time.
Right.
Not nearly as much as you're thinking.
No, I didn't say a lot.
How many times have you been racially profiled?
I don't know if I was racially profiled, but I've been pulled over at least 3 times that I'm sure were fishing expeditions. I'm certain of it. I mean,
Like, so they ask you, what are you doing? Where are you going? What's going on? Why are you?
no, I'm driving up to northern Michigan at like 9 o'clock at night, and there's a cop in the grass in the middle of the highway. I don't know if he's taking, what they call taking pictures, looking, using radar or whatever. Anyway, I drive past the cop. He gets out and he's following me. No lights or anything, but I did see, the minute you go past the cop, you see the red lights come on, so you know he's coming out. He stepped on his brakes, put the car in gear. He comes out. He's in the blind spot following me at the same speed. Now, I take my feet off the gas so that my car is slowing down. I don't want to put the brake light on to let him know I'm scared or something. So I don't take my feet. So, huh?
Because you were speeding?
No, he didn't. Hear the story out. Hear the story out. So I don't know if I'm speeding or not, but if a cop gets behind you, you tend to start slowing down. So after about a mile and a half, he pulls me over. And when he walks up to the car, he walks all the way around the car and says, for a minute there, I didn't think you had your seatbelt on, but could you give me your license and registration? Then he runs in and comes back and asks if he can search the car. Over that, what am I supposed to think?
You didn't have that in the hide. You should have just gave it to him.
Right, but why are you asking to search the car when you realize the guy has the seatbelt on that you didn't think he had? How does that go all the way up to it? Can I search your car?
If it was me in that position.
You ain't answering the question though, but it's not you, it's me. How does it get up to that level?
Well, we're both people of color, so that's why I'm giving you the example.
Right.
I would be like, okay, yeah, you go ahead. I don't got nothing to hide.
But okay, I get that you would comply. I complied as well, but I'm asking you, how does it get to that level?
I don't know.
Right. So when you started out by saying people get pulled over like they don't get pulled over for anything wrong, I'm giving you an example.
Are you saying like if I was a white person, then that wouldn't have happened?
No, it happens to white people too. But the idea that people get pulled over and the cops are doing nothing wrong and you should just comply, cops mess with people. I want you to hear this though. This is what we're talking about.
Our cities have become a beacon of hope, safety, beauty, better than ever before. We're going to rebuild our cities. We're going to work with Democrat mayors who are running in every instance, running them, Democrat mayors and many Democrat governors. and we're going to rebuild our cities. We're going to bring them back like they used to be. We're going to make them safe places again. We're going to give our police their power back, and we're going to give them immunity from prosecution. So they're not prosecuted for doing their job.
How do you take that?
I take that as statistics can show. Like I said, and all these videos that you see on YouTube and TikTok and everything, if you watch the videos when police officers are getting prosecuted for no fucking reason.
Okay.
Like I said,
he's not.
Pulled over. License registration, please. Why? Why the fuck do I got to give you that? And they're honestly right there off incompliant.
So what are you saying, that if a person is asked for their license or registration, they have no reason to question anything? They should just hand it over. They can't ask any questions at all.
We can be peaceful. Like, here you go. I have nothing.
That ain't no. I said, can they ask questions?
Oh, of course they can ask questions.
Right. So what if the cop doesn't want to answer the question and just keeps demanding that they just comply and won't tell him shit? Why did you pull me over? I'm not telling you.
What I asked.
Huh?
Why did you pull me over? I'll get to that in a second. Can I see your license and registration?
And if they don't get to it,
that doesn't happen as much as you think. How many times have you been pulled over there? That doesn't happen like it happens that way.
Right? But think about what you said. Think about what you said. You said it doesn't happen as much as I think. You're admitting, but it does happen.
Oh, it happens in the real world all the time, but not as much as you think.
Yeah, I don't get the idea that.
I mean, the idea is that every single cop is bad.
No.
And they're gonna harass you.
No, I don't think every single cop is bad, but my argument is if you give police immunity, you could be creating bad cops.
How's that?
If I knew I could do, let me respond. If I knew I could do anything and get away with it, I might do some things that I normally wouldn't do.
Okay.
That's what I'm talking about. You may be creating some bad cops by throwing around immunity like that.
Okay, let's turn it around. You're the cop.
Right. What's your point?
So he came up and asked you those questions, or you came up and asked those questions.
I don't get the point you're making.
You came up, say the guy had a tail light out.
Okay.
You pull him over for that, right?
Right.
You come up and you say, hey, I'm deputy, whatever your name might be. Do you know why I pulled you over? No. Why? Why the fuck you pulling me over? I ain't doing shit. License and registration, please. I ain't gonna give you none of that.
Okay. What's the point?
The point is, what he's saying is that happens a lot more often.
I don't disagree with you, but I'm trying to find out, if you got a person that's not complying, what extra powers that you need that's going to be granted immunity that you don't have now? What are we saying the police should be able to do to someone like the example you're giving? What are we saying that the police should be able to do to them that they cannot do right now without immunity? What do you want extra for the police to be able to do to that person?
I think you're missing the bigger picture is what he's saying is.
Yeah, I'm missing it I don't get it.
They're so scared now to do anything because they're afraid of a lawsuit. A simple traffic law turns into a big something. Why? Because they were not being compliant. They weren't saying, okay, here you are. Here's my license. You want to complain about, why do I give that to you? Why are you going to do this? Oh, you're racial profiling, this and that. When people are just making it a bigger deal, like you come to a regular traffic stop and you made it a huge thing. Next thing you know, you're either in cuffs or going to jail. Yeah,
but they can do that now. The only reason they're getting sued because when somebody does not comply, they're going overboard. Like Rock with the video when you run from police and ass whooping is coming with it. They're not supposed to be able to do that. They're going overboard. What Trump is basically doing is suggesting that if folks are talking off and popping off and talking shit to the police, if I give the police immunity, you'll know from now on that if you talk shit to the cops, they can beat your ass without any recourse, and that'll make you start respecting them. That's what I'm hearing.
That's not what I'm hearing.
Okay. All right. I gotta move it on though. Yeah.
It's hard to do it. It's hard to be a police officer in this day and age. Why? Because you have to be careful. You can't do this. You can't do that. You can't ask them for this because it starts escalating.
Okay. So you believe if the police is granted immunity, they're not going to abuse that at all?
I'm not saying that. I'm saying there are some bad apples, but in the majority of it, that's what it means.
All right.
What it means is, like I just said. So
you support this then? So you do support this?
Yes.
All right. Fair enough.
It happens more often. It doesn't happen more often as you think.
Okay.
I mean, how many fucking times are you going to get pulled over and this is going to escalate?
All right. I got to move it on. I'll discuss it on the other side, but Gabriel, come back on anytime. Let me just say, here's the point I'm making. And by the way, you notice when we were having the back and forth, he's pointing out to folks that get pulled over and they don't comply. Do you think that every cop that if you're granting police immunity, maybe a cop likes the blouse you have on, or maybe the cop doesn't like the fact that you're driving a fancy car that he could never afford? We're assuming that the cops are only going to use immunity against some of the most non-compliant Americans. That as long as you do what's right, it's not going to happen to you. I don't know where that comes in at. I mean, we're talking about granting the police additional powers and hoping that they don't get carried away with it. A lot of folks on the police force that probably should not be on the police force. I don't know. That's an interesting. I mean, by way of yes or no. Now I know I got a lot of MAGA that watch the program as well. Nothing wrong with that. But by way of yes or no in the comments, how many of you agree with Trump suggesting that the police would be respected more if they're granted immunity? By way of yes or no, how many of you folks support what President Trump just promised there? Because I'm frightened of it. I am frightened of it. Cop in a non-military state should be difficult, says James Phillips. And I agree with my last, thank you, James, for the super chat. I agree with my last call also. Yeah, it is difficult to be a police officer. But you know that when you sign up. We don't even grant our soldiers immunity in combat zones. You're going to grant them immunity on the American people? I don't know. That seems a bit harsh for me. Now, I wanted to address a few super chats. I do apologize for not getting to your super chats. James Phillips, you said one time is too much. And I agree with what Mowgli said as well. It will only make people fear them. In my humble opinion, I think what Trump is doing is confusing fear with respect. Like when folks say, when Biden is in office, other nations do not respect America. No, the real interpretation of that, they're not fearful. When Trump was in office, they were fearful of America. They knew Trump might kick some ass. It ain't respect, it's fear. And that's what's happening if we give police immunity. No, the people won't respect the cops. They'll be scared of them. Just like they were of the Gestapo. It's not respect, it's fear. Because I know you can do anything to me and get away with it. I don't know, but you don't want to come out and say publicly you want the American public to fear the cops. You're going to call it respect. But no, it is fear. That is what we're talking about. I see in the comments, DJ said bloodbath. And by the way, a few folks were talking about, play the whole clip. What else do you expect to hear? I mean, like, he clearly stated he wants to give police immunity. In my opinion, I don't see any context where police need to be granted additional. I mean, they have plenty of qualified immunity now. I don't see where they need to be granted additional immunity. Have you ever seen any police shooting online? Have you ever seen any citizen use a firearm online in self-defense? You notice the difference? You could have 5 cops dealing with one threat, and they'll fire their entire magazine at that one guy. All 5 of them will. Now, notice when you see a citizen use a firearm in self-defense, they rarely empty the gun. Because this is what happens when you're accountable versus when you're not accountable. That's the qualified immunity. Cops have no problem emptying a magazine at a threat. A citizen knows that if they overkill, it's all on them. They got to hire lawyers. They got to go through all of that shit themselves. They already have immunity. What is he suggesting where they need more immunity than they already have? I don't understand that. Going back to the box though. Police will be Germany SS. I hope you're wrong, but certainly giving police additional immunity, in my opinion, opens the door up for it. Before I go back to the box, I'll just say it like this. When you listen to Trump speak, I just want you to hear this clip for a quick second.
These have become a beacon of hope, safety, beauty, better than ever before. We're going to rebuild our cities. We're going to work with Democrat mayors who are running, in every instance, running them. Democrat mayors and...
Democrat mayors, so you already know what we're talking about. Liberal cities, big cities.
Many Democrat governors, and we're going to rebuild our cities. We're going to bring them back like they used to be. We're going to make them safe places again. We're going to give our police their power back, and we're going to give them immunity from prosecution.
Now, notice how it's framed. He's talking about, Chicago's, the Milwaukee's, the Detroit's. He's not talking about rural Alabama somewhere, because those folks would be pissed off if he was talking about giving their cops immunity. The way this is framed is going to be supported by, I would assume, many Trump supporters, because it sounds like he's going to give the police that are dealing with those folks immunity, not our cops. But that's not how it works, folks. That's not how it works. And what you'll end up having is people who thought they would never get caught up in this shit, caught up in it. I mean, you give the police immunity, you're going to increase the amount of bad cops. It's as simple as that. If I know I can get away with any damn thing, I'm more likely to do something. And the people who are sitting back thinking, well, that's only going to be used to get those. You see these mob robberies, a bunch of black kids go into a CVS or a Walgreens and they take every damn thing. Those are the folks that it sounds like he's talking about. But if cops are granted immunity, it can happen in your neighborhood to you too. He didn't say only in certain areas, but he's framing it that way. So that folks will grant this shit, and then all of a sudden when it's used against them, they'll be finding themselves thinking, I never thought this could happen to me. Thank you for the super chat, Tobin T. What's wrong with holding police to a high standard? Why do they get special protection under the law? If they violate your rights, they should personally be held accountable. Force them to have insurance. Bad behavior equals high rate. I agree with that. Just like if you were a truck driver, if you were a physician, a lot of professional licenses or professional positions require you have insurance, malpractice insurance. If you do something wrong as a doctor, you have insurance. So that way, if there's ever a claim for you fucking up, it's harder to get insured. The premiums go up, and because you have to have insurance as a condition to practice, if you don't have insurance, if nobody will insure you, you're out of a job. The police, on the other hand, not having to have insurance, can screw up in one department, maybe get fired and go down the street and get a job somewhere else. And it's all on the taxpayers. I do favor, if you can make truck drivers, folks with CDLs, they have to get insurance. The idea that a cop can't afford to get insurance makes no sense. I agree with that. They will prosecute if you dumb the entire, if as a citizen using your weapon in self-defense, you could get prosecuted if you shoot somebody 8 or 9 times. But if a cop uses his weapon 8 or 9 times, chances are he's going to get away with it. There are videos. You watch active self-protection, there are plenty of examples, or police activity or whatever it's called. There are plenty of videos of cops using a weapon in self-defense and citizens using weapons in self-defense. The citizens always fire less rounds, almost always. Going back to the box will make it happen with Alan, I think that says, good evening, welcome to the program. We're actually talking about Biden's performance, but giving police immunity is something that really is a thorn in my side. It frightens the hell out of me. I'm not here to bash Trump or, defend Biden, but that is something that I believe should be questioned. Why would a president want to give cops immunity? I don't see how that's going to get Chicago and some of these bad cities to be The crime rates. Now, in my opinion, yeah, you might lower the crime rate, but you're not going to reduce the amount of criminals because what you're doing by giving police immunity is just simply switching who the criminals are. Suddenly now it's not these little kids running around, it's the cops. Can you imagine? You know, a drug dealer has thousands of dollars on him and you're shaking him down and you have immunity? Why not just take the money and keep it? Going to the box. My last guest did not come up. We'll try it again. And by the way, folks, tap the screen, get the likes on up to about 50,000. We can certainly make that happen. Looking in the comments, if Trump was to fill in if Trump was to fill in, that would be the end of his presidency. I don't quite get that. Tim, don't break the law, says Sandra. Yeah. Sandra, that's what I keep. That's where I keep having the problem with. Why do we assume that if a citizen doesn't break the law, the cops won't do it as well? The idea that we can grant cops immunity and everybody will be okay as long as they don't break the law, to me sounds insane. Why would you believe that? I mean, do you believe the American police force is perfect? And by the way, I'm still confused. What can't the police do now that you believe you want them to do that they should be immune from? That is why I still take it and interpret it from the standpoint of I see a lot of these folks, particularly in urban areas, committing crimes or talking shit to the police. And I want the police to have the right to beat their ass without any accountability so they know they need to respect them. That's what I'm hearing. You would respect the police if you knew they could beat the hell out of you without any accountability. I'm tired of seeing folks, and my last guest was talking about it, arguing back at police, refusing to give your ID and things like that. I want the police to be able to beat the hell out of that guy. That's why I want to give him immunity. That's the way I'm taking it. That's literally the way I'm taking it. Let's try it again with James coming in the box. What about corrupt cops? And that's what we're talking about. I think it would make cops corrupt. James, good evening. James, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. Good evening. So what do you think about giving police immunity?
Do what?
What do you think about Trump promising to give police immunity?
It scares the hell out of me. I mean, they already mess up, you know? Why?
Yeah.
Why would cops, we find bad cops all over the place? Then the cops are going to be the bad guys. I mean, we see it all over the world. That's one step towards authoritarianism. I mean, if you look, all the governments that we've ever seen that is bad has been authoritarian.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that to me that sounds like something straight out of the Third Reich. But let me ask you this. This came from Baby J on YouTube. Thank you for the super chat. Baby J says, also in regards to the Supreme Court giving Trump immunity, how do you feel about that? James, I don't know if James had a call. We'll move it on. Maybe he had a noisy background. In my opinion, by the way, Baby J357, thank you for the super chat. In regards to the Supreme Court granting Trump immunity, I think it's there's some good in it, but I think there's a lot of bad in it. I do believe to some degree presidents should have a certain amount of immunity while they are in office. Like, for instance, George W. Bush going into Iraq unnecessarily. That happens a lot. I mean, 9/11 took place. Everybody was scared. Now, I do believe he abused his power. We had no business in Iraq, really no business in Afghanistan either. But I think Obama, I think he droned an American citizen, killed an American citizen that went overseas on behalf of ISIS. I think the guy was actually went overseas and was fighting on behalf of ISIS. You don't supposed to kill another American as president. So I do believe the president should have some immunity. In regards to President Trump, though, where I have a problem with it is they granted Trump immunity, or better yet, granted presidents. They did it in defense of Trump, but they ruled that presidents have immunity in concert with official duties. But then they deliberately did not describe what an official duty is. So, in my opinion, you guys can tell me where I'm wrong at, but I believe that it was done pro-Trump so that anything Trump is accused of, it'll be deemed as he did it as an official duty. But if Biden tried to use that immunity to do something that's against Trump, they can now rule that, well, what Biden did is not an official duty because they didn't define what an official duty is. They left it open, kind of like a filter for Trump's actions to get through, and they can actually filter out Biden's actions. If Trump does something, it's an official duty, he has immunity. If Biden does something, they can rule that it was not official because they never defined it. Because a lot of folks started immediately saying, if they give Trump immunity, Biden should use that to do this or do that. Well, he can't because they didn't define it. So the minute Biden does something, the Supreme Court's going to say, well, that's not an official duty. So I do believe it was pro-Trump. And for that reason, I don't like what they did, the way they did it. They should have at least defined what an official duty was. Otherwise, yeah, it leaves Trump. I mean, because for instance, you see Sotomayor talking about how a president could shoot somebody with the aid of SEAL Team 6 and get away with it. And folks on the right is like, that's bullshit or whatever, like they know the law more than the Supreme Court justice. I'm just going to say this. They ruled that if the president is acting, in concert with the job, anybody else he talks to gets thrown out. So let's say when Trump was telling Mike Pence not to certify the election, if Mike Pence had came and told him, look, I talked to my people, sir, and I found that is a crime, that is illegal, and Trump says, well, don't worry about that, do it anyway, I'll get you off. If better yet, if Mike Pence wants to be a whistleblower against Trump and tell maybe Congress that Trump knew it was a crime and told him to do it anyway, his testimony is inadmissible. They ruled that not only can you not be charged with what was done in concert with the office, the people who you talk to, their testimony is null and void. So it not only did it give them immunity, it kills the whistleblowers because you can't blow the whistle on them anymore either. So yeah, he done it while he was in office. And if somebody steps up and tries to tell, no, hey, I was talking to him while I was president too, which might actually down the road turn out to help Steve Bannon, who had no presidential protections, but is claiming them. So now Trump can say, well, when I talked to Bannon, I was president and I'm granted immunity. So it could turn out to help Steve Bannon as well. So for that reason, I'm not a big fan of it. I am hoping, beyond hope, that I interpreted their ruling wrong. But I don't think I did. I'm hoping beyond hope that I did. Looking in the comments, though. Hey, Lisa, since nice to see you here. Oh, thank you. Let me go back to the box. I'm hoping beyond hope that I was wrong on that. Dencal, one of my subscribers, good evening. Giving the cops immunity, I still think is one of the worst, most frightening things you can do. Because my guest asked what Trump has done that's radical. And to me, giving police immunity is radical. But Dencal, good evening.
Hey, good evening.
Hey, do you see, you heard a guest actually saying he actually supports giving cops immunity. What's your take on that?
I believe that he probably has never had a personal experience, or maybe a close family member go through an experience where their rights were trampled on by police.
Yeah.
Just to say, well, he's tired of hearing people talk trash and stuff to the police, but he doesn't seem to understand that talking trash to the police is not illegal.
Right. I was going to say the same thing. If you get pulled over by the cops, even if you call them a money-grubbing pig, it is protected by free speech. Now, understand, a lot of cops don't give a damn about your First Amendment rights. They're there to defend their ego, and if you disrespect them, which is why Trump is talking about giving them respect, a lot of cops don't like to be disrespected, and they will violate your rights if you do that. But listening to Trump sounds like it'll come at his blessing.
Right, but instead of having a comprehensive program where you retrain these police to stop breaking people's, rights, they rather just say, okay, we're just gonna give them carte blanche. We're just gonna give them the right to do whatever they want. That's not a fix to to a societal problem. It's to just say, okay, we'll make sure people don't talk trash to you because we'll give you the right to bust them upside the head.
And that's what I'm hearing. And by the way, I am one, because you mentioned it's a societal problem. I'm not a fan when I see young kids talking shit to cops and disrespecting them. I'm not a fan of that at all. But I don't believe the solution is to let the cop beat the hell out of them. I don't, if you're running from the police, you're obviously committing a crime, committing a felony in a lot of jurisdictions. But does that mean when the cops catch up to the person, they should be allowed to go Rodney King on them? I'm not a fan of it, but there's a lot of folks who did believe indeed, because Rodney King or George Floyd or some of those folks are fighting with the police, they deserve to be deliberately injured. I mean, a lot of folks do favor that stuff.
Right, and the irony to that is this is coming from a whole generation of people that say, you know how when you see kids, disrespecting their parents or talking back to their parents and stuff, and they say, well, we don't believe in, chastising or hurting or spanking the kids.
No, them liberals. I disagree. When you start talking about people who don't want to spank kids, that's generally the liberal generation. Republicans are for corporal punishment. Remember the whole Bible thing? They're for corporal punishment. Death penalty, cops beating your ass. They believe in violence. They believe in violence. Fuck around and find out everything the Republicans talk about is violent oriented. They believe in violence.
Yeah, but it's just I don't know, man. The man got up there in front of his rally and told people years ago, he was telling cops to break the law, saying, when you put them in the car, don't put your hand over.
Yeah, he did say that, didn't he? That's another one. Yeah, he did say that.
He's been advocating for the police to me he's setting up his own I hate to use the word, but his own Gestapo.
Yeah.
He's asked and received some type of immunity, and now he wants the people that he's gonna use to perpetrate some of the things he wants to do in this next term. He's setting it up in front of our faces. And people are saying, well, it's okay. I think it's good that the police have immunity to just take away my rights. Just like the people said when it was stop and frisk. They were fine with them stopping and frisk other people.
Yeah, and that's the problem. Is all of this stuff sounds great to a lot of folks as long as it's being used against others. But when it's when they came up with the RICO Act or the Patriot Act, when George W. Bush came up with the Patriot Act, it's to get terrorists. It's to stop folks who are a threat to this country. But then when they started using that shit against red-blooded Americans, oh my God, we don't went too far. Just like the RICO Act was like that. And then they always bend this stuff to come back to hurt us all. And if you start granting the police immunity, the idea that it's only going to stay in one community or it's only going to be applied to folks who are talking shit to the cops, no. You're going to have police officers that decide I can get away with a little bit extra by doing this or doing that. And before you know it, you'll have a hell of a lot of Republicans also saying, he came on my property because he didn't like the fact that I had more guns than him, and he's checking my serial numbers. They're gonna find a way to use it against everybody.
Right, and just like what they were doing as far as the stop and frisk, they were saying, well, it's actually lowering crime. Well, yeah, if I go out there and I walk up on and I check 100,000 people, I would probably find 10,000, maybe 20,000 weapons, but that means I violated 80,
Right. And that's what I keep saying is that if you give police immunity to randomly stop and frisk people, which is a violation of their Fourth Amendment right, you're not reducing crime, you're just switching who the criminals are. Every time you violate somebody's rights, you're committing a crime, but you've made it legal to do that. So yeah, I'm stopping the street thug by allowing the police to violate him. Okay, so the street thug is not committing any more crimes, but now the people with the badges are doing it.
Right. What about the what about there are a whole lot of liberal cops out there. What happens when they start pulling over people with their MAGA trucks and saying, "Hey,
Oh, we can't have that. Oh my God, the shame. We can't have that.
no, I'm talking about everyone, every bumper sticker I said that says 'Make America Great Again.' I'm pulling them over. I want to see what's in the trunk. I want to see what's in the pockets. I want to know if that gun is registered properly, if it was stowed properly in the vehicle. I want to know. And if not, I'm going to bust out the tail light and give them a ticket anyway.
You trying to get a few good old boys shot. I got to move it on, Dick.
Hey, come on, man. We gotta start using the same tactics. We can't just keep on saying, well, we don't want them to do this and we don't want them to do that. If that's what they want to do, we need to show them that it's an equal opportunity atmosphere out here. All police is not MAGA affiliated.
Yeah, I just think Trump needs to clear that up. What he means by giving police immunity. That
he will not clear up anything. He loves ambiguity.
Well,
he loves to give his people a way out. They will talk. They will give him excuses for everything. I'm in a conversation right now with a young woman online about this Project 2025 stuff. And she's saying, well, he said it, he didn't. So I sent her the full interview. It's a 30-minute speech with him at the Heritage Foundation, breaking down all of the stuff that they're trying to do. He's telling them that they're a great partner in his pursuit of all of these agendas, the tax policy, the stuff that's going on with the Supreme Court. All of this stuff years ago, he's talking to the leadership, telling them how they're going to be a great partner going forward with his new platform.
Yeah. And I'll just say this, because Trump claims he doesn't know anything about Project 2025. Fine. I would be a lot more happy if he actually showed outrage. I mean, everybody knows a lot of the stuff in there is very radical. So if you don't know anything about it and you find out that several folks that served on your administration that you appointed literally wrote this stuff. Okay, you didn't know nothing about it, but at least show some outrage. And the fact that there's no outrage on the right about Project 2025, to me, is telling. But then, Cal, I got to move it on, man.
Just one more quick thing.
All right, real quick.
Just ask the people when you talk about 2025, what parts of it do they object to?
I think they're going to tell you. Yeah, I think they're going to tell you all of it, but they're not doing it out loud. So it might as well not even be happening. Appreciate you coming on, though, man. And I wanted to address two super chats. I didn't mean to let that go by. Dung is fun says Biden had documents and he was president, or even fight a vice president. So I get the point that both Biden and Vice President Pence had documents in their possession, and they didn't get treated like President Trump did. Two things. First of all, I will admit I believe that some of Trump's cases were politically based because he is a bombastic guy that starts fights with everybody, just like you're talking about right now, giving police immunity because he doesn't like people who mistreat law enforcement. Well, he does the same damn thing, and that's why he's having trouble. But in addition to that, if in regards to Biden and Pence, the thing I think that's giving them a little bit of a step above Trump is that they cooperated and gave their documents back. That doesn't mean that they should have got a free pass. I mean, if it's illegal to have the documents in your possession, I'm fine with going after Biden or going after Pence. But when you got her, H-U-R-R, a Trump appointee saying that Biden can't be prosecuted because he's out of his mind, it is what it is. Her would not have had a job if Trump didn't appoint him, which is why you notice you hear MAGA bitching about how the hell does Biden get a pass because they're saying he's out of his mind, but they're not attacking her, the guy who actually wrote it down, because he's a Trump appointee. Trump appointed a lot of bad people. The Dr. Fauci types. Now, he didn't appoint Dr. Fauci, but he certainly let Dr. Fauci maintain a lot more power than he could have. He could have greatly limited Dr. Fauci's power. Everybody from Ambassador Bolton, you're talking about Mike Pence not refusing to certify the election. Trump appointed a lot of bad people, if you ask him. So I just want to point that out. But yeah, I'm not opposed. If Biden committed a crime with those documents, I'm not opposed to holding him accountable for it. But the fact is, Trump did not comply, and that's what's causing him most of the trouble, which is why they're going after him also for obstruction of justice. That wouldn't apply to Pence or Biden. And also, cops fallout orders. I don't quite get this one. Dung is fun. Is that dung like shit? Dung is fun. Cops fallout orders. Where did the orders come from? The judges and district attorneys. Judges and discontinue. I don't quite get your second comment there. Dung is fun. I don't quite get that, but I don't see. I'm still baffled. And by the way, tap the screen to my TikTok viewers, my YouTubers. Feel free to smash that like button. We might be able to get up to 90 likes on YouTube, so feel free to smash the like button. On TikTok, certainly get us up to about 65,000. It's a smaller audience here this evening, but I'm still baffled as to what can cops not do now that you want to give them immunity to do in the future? What are they not able to get away with that you think they should be able to get away with? That's where I'm clueless on what Trump is promising. Continuing on, though, we'll try to get with James, one of my team members. Good evening, James, if the box brings him up. Cops judge. There you go, James, good evening.
How's it going? Do I sound better this time?
Sound much better this time. We can actually make it work now. So you stated that you were a fan or you were not a fan of giving cops immunity.
I am not a fan at all. I mean, they've got enough immunity.
So how do you interpret it? How do you interpret
get away with murder? Go ahead.
How do you interpret what Trump is trying to do? Why do you think Trump wants to give him immunity?
Because he wants a military. Civil military that he can, go authoritarian with. He's got to give them immunity to carry out his regular plans. I'm not a Trump crazy, but you do this, you're setting up us for an authoritarian president. You're maybe not Trump himself, but somebody in the near future, Yeah. Maybe a Democrat.
Yeah.
They could use these powers even if they give the cops these powers to take over the state. To take over the country.
Yeah, well, my suspicion is somehow once Trump is out of office, they'll close that loophole out so that the next guy can't do it. Like with the immunity deal, where people are saying Biden should use immunity to get rid of Trump. I don't think he can.
Well, if you think about it, what laws then do apply? Like the prohibition on using military as police. Does that not apply no more? Because you can't prosecute them after they, because it was in their line of duty to, they control the military. So yeah. I can't remember the phrase that prevents, you hear Trump talking about, well, I sent 10,000 National Guards. He couldn't have sent 10,000 National Guards to Portland if, without breaking laws to do any police action.
Yeah, didn't he contemplate? Go ahead. No, we must have a slight delay. Didn't he contemplate using either the military or something like that on some of the Black Lives Matter protesters when it was getting out of hand?
He tried to, but he couldn't. He couldn't directly do that. For the military, the military itself can't be used that way. But the National Guard, the National Guard to be used that way, a governor has to ask for them. You know what I'm saying? A governor has to be overruled. Or you end up the military cannot be used right now as a police force by the president, not inside the United States. It's there's a phrase for it. I can't remember what it is. I will find it and mention it in the comments later.
So, but outside of this whole immunity thing, do you favor Trump as getting reelected? Do you think he might be better than Biden?
No.
Why not?
No, I think a tree would be better because you can't tell what he's going to do. He's not stable. You know, maybe he did defend. I mean, maybe Russia wouldn't have attacked because he didn't know what Trump may or may not have done. You want a politician that's going to listen to the people, but you don't want a populist. You never really want a populist, because, and especially one that has no boundaries on what they're willing to do to feed their ego. You know, he just, everything he does is feeding his ego. I think he put Fauci out there. The Fauci situation, I think he put Fauci out there so he had somebody to pound on.
Wow, so a whipping
Nothing
boy.
more.
A whipping boy of sorts. Wow. Yeah. Yeah, he pounded on him. He certainly did pound on him. And I look at it like this. If you grant the police immunity while at the same time promising to have the largest deportation in history, that does make it far more easier to do. If the cops can go round these people up with no fear of accountability, you would get a lot of them out of the country.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
but I'm now seeing a bunch of articles and stuff about people who think, and this is mostly white folks, that think they are citizens. A guy from, or several of them from Canada, that has lived their whole life here, and come to find out they're not citizens. They, you know, one of them had served in the military, and the military promised him citizenship. The paperwork never got filed. Been here for 65 years, a veteran. You know what I'm saying?
wow.
And now he's trying to have to fight for his citizenship.
65 years?
Yep. Went to file for Social Security, you know what I'm saying, and found out he wasn't a citizen. Or actually went to renew his license and found out he wasn't a citizen.
How did you not know that in all of that time?
Yep, never knew it. So, and I've seen a couple like this. There's a woman that they were fighting for in a similar situation. Of course, with the new IDs and stuff like that, it's really not new IDs. It's become, you know, as they start to try to get their IDs updated, you know, they find out they're not citizens, you know? So
That's insane. All right, well, James, I do got to move it on because I'm having an abbreviated line, but that's insane. 65 years, wow. Imagine getting deported. You may not even know the area you're coming from. There's some Hispanics in this country right now that don't even speak Mexican. They don't even speak the language. You imagine you've been here since you were a really young kid. You're in your 20s and they want to send you back to Mexico and you don't even speak Spanish.
well, some of these are even younger, and we're also seeing where we promise these, you know, youngins that grew up in the United States citizenship after they go serve in the military. It's becoming hard for them to even do that under this type of stuff. And then Trump go and stop that immigration package that, you know, Biden put up. Come on. That was pure political and made the problem worse.
Yeah.
I mean, they were trying to get more judges. They were trying to, you know.
Well, I do believe Biden should. I do believe Biden should have done something about the border a lot sooner. So I don't give Biden a pass on it. But I gotta move it on, Josh. Appreciate.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, appreciate you coming on. Looking in the. By the way, Josh is who I'm coming up with. Dung is fun. That name is going crazy. 80% of the people that are on a visa get shipped back. I do believe that's true. Same like with the folks that are coming here claiming asylum. Most of those folks will not eventually qualify to stay here. But the policy to allow them to come here and get a case was reduced or relaxed so damn low that anybody could come here and claim asylum. But most of those folks, if they actually go to court and have those cases adjudicated, they're not going to qualify to be granted asylum, which is what my viewer said. 80% of the people, yeah, it's pretty damn high in regards to the folks that get rejected and sent back. Just in regards to the immunity thing, Josh, good afternoon. Good evening. You're saying you can explain this. What say
Hey,
you?
handsome. So I just want to say good afternoon or good evening,
Yeah.
whatever, because it is 11:50 here.
Yeah, it's
and thank you
evening,
for
yeah.
bringing me up.
I'm used, my show is 1 p.m. every day, so I'm used to saying good afternoon. But I want you, give me your spiel on this. What does Trump mean by offering to give folks immunity?
So first, I want to say this, handsome, is I think none of us truly know exactly what he means until he elaborates himself, correct? But
And if he
what I
doesn't,
believe- huh?
and if he doesn't elaborate on it,
Then I guess we won't exactly ever really know the truth, right?
right? So it could be pretty bad then.
Or it could be that he's trying to allow them to be able to do their job and prosecute people who need to be prosecuted. For example, liberal. This is why I came up here to explain. In my area, I could go rob a store, right?
Okay.
And they won't arrest me. They'll give me an appearance ticket. They won't arrest me. Around here, there's people that are 15 that are stealing cars. Like, actually, in my area, it's a big thing. And they aren't getting arrested. Cops are actually taking them to school the next day or so.
I don't get where they. Okay, wait. I get that they may be soft on crime to some degree. I don't get where immunity is needed to fix this problem.
So handsome. I believe that. I believe when he says this, and obviously this is my opinion, that he's going to give cops immunity. He is going to change the law to make it crime more, harsher, so to say, where people are held accountable for their actions.
Okay.
And meaning that in that way he will have to give cops more immunity in the aspect as in being able to prosecute and do their job in arresting people and doing stuff like
what can't they do right now in regards to, let's say somebody's robbing a bank, or as you're talking about robbing a store or whatever. What is it that they cannot do right now that they need immunity to be able to do?
Handsome, are they not bound by laws right now? So like say
okay.
So what no, I'm not saying that they shouldn't be bound by laws. Don't get me wrong. So
sounds like it. Okay.
But handsome, what I mean is around here, if you're robbing a store, right, and the store wants to prosecute, they will not arrest you. Like, you're telling me that should, like, the cops cannot arrest you because by law in this area, they're not allowed to, right? They give you an appearance statement. So in my opinion, in liberal areas or whatever he may be talking about, where they're less harsh on crime, I believe he means that he's going to, snap down on that. So.
Yeah, but if the town you live in, let's say you live in a liberal city where they don't tow the cops, huh?
I definitely live in
right.
a highly liberal.
But let me explain it to you. Let's say you
live in New York. I live in New York.
Okay, that's fine.
I live in a very liberal area.
Okay, fine. So let's say you live in a liberal city where the mayor or the powers that be in your city don't want you arresting some of these young criminals. Okay, so Trump gives you immunity so you can arrest the person, I guess, even though your superiors is telling you not to do it. At the end of the day, they're still not going to get prosecuted. I mean, okay, you put the guy in handcuffs and you brought him to the station. If your superiors had given you an order saying we're not going to arrest people for petty crimes, and Trump is giving you the power to arrest them anyway, what are you really doing? I mean, if your superiors don't want to arrest, go ahead.
You don't think being in jail, especially for possibly younger people or whatever it may be, stealing cars and causing accidents to people that are and I know this may just be in my general vicinity area, but stealing people's cars overnight, causing accidents and causing damage to people that aren't even like agreeing to be, they're just driving on the road, random citizen.
Right.
And we're not gonna charge them with any crime. They get no crime charge, right?
I hear your point. You're describing crimes.
What I mean, handsome, is I believe that putting them in jail and or letting them sit in cells for a day or whatever it may be until there's a court hearing, in ways would deter or allow them to see what it would be like if they were to continue the crime and then they end up in prison.
Right. I get your point. Hold on. Hang on. I get your point. Hold on. Let me get in it. Okay, you made your point. Here's my counterpoint. I think America at this point, certainly after the war on drugs, we have enough solid evidence to suggest that being tougher on crime does not deter crime. The war on drugs, they went real draconian. Started putting people in prison for the rest of their damn lives. Nobody stopped getting high. Nobody stopped selling drugs. There are a lot of countries on this planet that have really strict laws. They just have more people in jail. I don't. Go ahead.
So Handsome, on that actually, this is, in my opinion, this is deeper than like a drug problem, right? Because then that could, I'm in the medical field, and that could go into addiction and other things, right? But I'm not talking just about drugs, but like theft and car crimes and stuff like that. How do we know that isn't fixed by harsher punishment, right? Like I know what you're saying with drugs. However, that then leads into, you know, a deeper problem of addiction and chemical changes in the brain and so whatever. But there's no correlation, in my opinion, in addiction and you know, crime and stealing and robbing, because that's not, you know, it's not a gene mutation and or an addiction process of the brain, correct?
You do realize a lot of people rob and steal because of drugs, right?
Yeah, but I would say that that's a total misconception. That wouldn't be like I wouldn't say that just because people are on drugs that they rob and steal, and or everyone robbing and stealing is doing it because of drugs.
Yeah. Let me just say it this way.
I mean, Handsome, no offense. Do you have any, not, I wouldn't say proof. Have you seen any studies or research that shows that people steal because they are trying to get drugs or whatever they can?
Hell yeah. Oh my God, I can't believe you asked me that question. I'm from the south side of Chicago. You know how much merchandise I've bought off people, licks, you know, people go out and hit a lick, they're just trying to get a rock, so they come and sell you a CB for $5. Yeah. Oh my God, yes. Personally. People, when you, hold on. When you live in the hood, what we call crackheads or cluckers or hypes, they try to sell you every damn thing so that they can get a hit. Yes. Keep going.
So you think that's the majority of crime throughout the United States is all just because of drugs?
I think it represents a large portion of it.
No, I don't disagree in that it's a large percentage, but what I'm saying is I don't think that your example in saying that it just has to do with drugs means that we can't stop the part that we can stop.
Yeah, I hear your point. I just, where you're losing me at.
Because if we say if it's a bigger problem and then go, oh, well, there's another bigger problem. Okay, well, let's attack this problem first. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I hear all your spiels, Josh. What I'm not hearing from you is how immunity is going to stop this stuff. That's what I'm not hearing. I don't see how granting police immunity is going to address this stuff at all. All I see is that you're going to probably create, because you're talking about using immunity to get bad kids off the street. What you're not talking about is the fact that some of those cops may now be given the right to commit crimes to do it with. You're not assuming that any of the cops are going to become criminals now.
Well, Handsome, I think that personally, I believe that we have cameras on every police officer.
Immunity. What good is the camera if they got immunity?
Well, they won't have immunity. It's not immunity from the law, right, Handsome? It's immunity from like those that aren't. So, how do I explain it?
How about we let Trump explain it again?
Cities have become a beacon of hope, safety, beauty, better than ever before. We're going to rebuild our cities. We're going to work with Democrat mayors who are running in every instance, running them. Democrat mayors and many Democrat governors, and we're going to rebuild our cities. We're going to bring them back like they used to be. We're going to make them safe places again. We're going to give our police their power back, and we're going to give them immunity from prosecution. So they're not prosecuted for doing their job.
Is that what you're talking about?
So Handsome, do you think police should be prosecuted from doing their job?
I don't think they're being prosecuted now for doing their job.
So you don't think any cop ever gets prosecuted for doing their job, Handsome?
Not really, no. I think they get prosecuted for going above and beyond. Like I mentioned, if you run from police and they catch up with you and they're pissed off and they beat your ass, that's not doing your job. That's what they're getting prosecuted for, or they're defending their egos because you talk to him the wrong way and he don't like that, so now he's mad and he smacks you up. They're not getting prosecuted for doing their jobs. They're getting prosecuted for doing things that are not part of their job.
Interesting. So actually, I just thought about a good example. Actually, handsome. So there was this kind of near me. Actually, there was this cop that was chasing a 17-year-old, and he pulled out a fake pew pew.
Okay.
Right, like it was they found out it wasn't real, but blah blah blah. If a cop is chasing someone and pulls out a fake pew pew, and the cop shot him and unfortunately, or I don't know what I can say on here, unfortunately got unalive. He is being prosecuted or in the process of, I mean, obviously there's investigations that go with that, whatever the case may be.
You're okay with them? You are okay with them investigating it, right? You don't think they should just give them,
No,
okay, well.
No, handsome, absolutely they need to investigate that to make sure there was no wrongdoing there.
Right.
However, in my opinion, do you think that would be, if in this scenario, he didn't do anything wrong, you think he should be prosecuted?
I need to see the case. I need to see the case. I think everybody that pulls a toy gun out on cops do not feature a cop that actually thought it was real. Sometimes some toy guns, it's not fit. It's not real. I'd have to see the exact evidence of it. I don't just want to grant the guy automatic immunity.
No, I get that, handsome, and actually, I'll be honest. I'll private message you, and I'll send you the study and the stuff right now.
Right.
I just mean, handsome. There are cases that people that
not enough of them. Not enough of them that they need immunity. It's not that ain't happening to a point. There are not a bunch of cops out there getting prosecuted for doing their job to the point where you need to give them all immunity.
No, and I agree with you, handsome. But
that's all I need you to do.
I think that I agree, and I'm not saying everything Trump says is good, right, handsome? I've been up here before, and obviously he's a dumbass in the way sometimes he doesn't shut up. But I do think it's better for our country and, economically, whatever. We agree and disagree on some things.
All right. But I do got to move it on, man. I just wanted to get your opinion on that. Well,
handsome, let me
real quick.
Then I'll be done. All right. I just wanted to say that I just believe that that even though you said it's a small amount, I think that does change the way in ways that other cops react, and some that may be less harsh at their job. And I think that cops should be able to feel confident in enforcing their job, not being criminals to us, but being able to do their job and not have to worry about, hey, is someone gonna yell at me for saying peekaboo, or stupid shit is what I mean. Okay. So I think they should be able to be comfortable in doing their job.
All right, fair enough. I will say this in regards to what he's saying. There is a reason why cops, and I do agree with him, there are some cops that have become very fearful in regards to dealing with African Americans or maybe women, because, everybody pull out their cameras and things like that, and I understand where he's coming from. However, what I don't like is we pretend like this just happened from nowhere. It happened from a bunch of disgruntled black people that hated cops. No, the reason why this stuff is happening is because for years, better yet for decades, or to some degree for generations, the police knew they had a lot of corrupt cops in different departments and things like that. They swept that shit under the rug, refused to admit what was going on, circled the wagons, the blue wall of silence, and they didn't actually clean house and get rid of bad cops. So if you got one bad cop on the force and you're doing nothing about it, well, he's making a whole damn force look bad. That's what used to happen before the era of smartphones and video cameras. They weren't trying to get rid of the bad cops. They were trying to tell the public, you got it wrong. And there's people even to this day now, anytime you have a controversial shooting, people start attacking the victim. I mean, there are people who still say that George Floyd passed away of COVID or excited delirium or some other case, even though he's on video, active, and then dead. He was going to die that way anyway, even if he didn't sit on his neck for 9 minutes. So I agree the police should feel comfortable doing their jobs, but I do believe if they done a better job cleaning house over the last few generations, this problem, the mistrust in police would not be anywhere near this bad. I mean, folks have been saying that there are bad cops out there to the tune of, well, 99% of them are good. They just want to go home to their families. Can you imagine being at the scene of a plane crash and the airline tells you, well, 99% of our flights make it to their destination? That's irrelevant. Do something about this. Why does 99% of cops are good come up after every bad cop incident? Why bring that up? And they got shit to do with what this dude just did. So this is what causes that stuff. Address the bad cops, and then there will be nothing left but good cops, and you won't have as much of what you're complaining. But as I told my last guest, I don't see where giving cops immunity would solve any of that stuff. I mean, yeah, there's some people who pop off the cops, talk shit to cops, run from cops. You know, unfortunately, some people even try to hurt the police. But I don't see where the police need immunity to solve any of that stuff. To me, that just means the police have the right to then become criminals themselves. There is a correlation. If you don't have fathers in the home, you have more crime. Simple fix, says Dung is fun. Not in the capitalist society anymore. It's not a simple fix. And I agree with you in regards to the nuclear family being intact has its value. But we live in a capitalist society where, you know, it's hard to be at the home with the children when everybody got to work. It used to be dad went out and provided and mom was at home raising the child properly and things like that. Now they both got to work. I mean, it's gotten so bad in our society we're all money oriented. You don't even get to spend weekends and holidays with your children anymore. Almost everybody nowadays has a job that features them working on weekends or a mandatory holiday or mandatory overtime. It's real hard to maintain a nuclear family when your employer don't give a damn about you being home with your kids. Didn't used to be that way. So while I understand your point, everybody keeps talking about how hard we want Americans to work. Well, at some point you will work so hard that you're no longer around your family as much. I mean, you can't even enjoy Thanksgiving dinner now because some of your folks got to get up and go work on Black Friday or even later that night. Some of the stores are now open even on Thanksgiving night. Whatever happened to allowing the people to spend time with their families? You can't tell me you want the nuclear family to remain intact, but you're okay with mandatory overtime, working weekends, and all this other shit. You don't need to have a store that's open selling televisions at 3 o'clock in the morning. That ain't necessary. So the idea that you're okay and you want the nuclear family, but you're forcing people and you're okay with forcing people to work all kinds of odd hours. There's a lot of businesses in America that don't need to be open at 3 o'clock in the morning that are simply chasing money. There goes your nuclear family. So all of a sudden dad is working in the middle of the night. When you come home from school, he's asleep. He's got to work later on tonight. Greed is what killed the nuclear family. Looking in the comments, by the way, Dung is fun. Thank you for your support this evening. I appreciate that. Dung is fun. If they were doing their jobs right, they don't have to worry about being prosecuted. But if judges, they have qualified immunity. That is true. I agree with that. If cops do their job, they don't need qualified immunity. Qualified immunity is to force citizens to not question the action of police, even if what the police are doing is wrong. That's what Trump means when he says it'll give police their respect back. If you know that cop can beat your ass and get away with it, you won't disrespect that cop. That's not respect, though. That's fear. Simple as that. That is fear. And by the way, Trump is the one Trump has said things that are in line with this, such as he offered to pay a Trump supporter money to punch a protester in the face. He said something like, if you punch him in the face, I'll pay your legal bills. He's talking about when you're putting a suspect in a car, where you put your hand behind their head to protect their head, move the hand. So it's pretty clear that he, to some degree, is okay with violence. So in my opinion, it's not a stretch to think that, well, if a person is disrespecting the police, I'm okay with you beating their ass. It kind of sounds like that's where he's coming from. Your lifestyle will determine how much you work. I don't know about that. I mean, well, I don't know about that. It depends on how much you're earning. I mean, if you, I guess what you're saying is, if you want to live a lavish lifestyle, it's going to make you work a lot. There's some people who work two jobs, long hours, and they're not living a lavish lifestyle at all. I mean, some people just don't get paid a lot of money. I do rideshare videos. There's a lot of Uber drivers out here doing shit 100 hours a week, and they barely getting by. So I don't know if I totally agree with that. Going back to the box, though, appreciate you folks that are tuned in. By the way, let me just say this real quick. The program what we're doing now, it's a free speech program. It is, I always hold that it is MAGA friendly. We always have been MAGA friendly over the last 2-3 years. I don't do a lot of night programs, but 1 p.m. Central for you folks that may want to tune in. We're on YouTube, we're on TikTok simultaneously. You're hearing the callers coming from TikTok. This is what I'm telling my YouTube viewers. So for calling in, it's done through TikTok for now until I find a way to do it through YouTube. But 1 p.m. Central, we're on for a few hours, Monday through Friday, weekdays. Monday through Friday. There's generally about 4 to 5 times as many people in here during the weekdays. So Monday through Friday, 1300 hours Central Time is where you'll find us. If you do enjoy civilized dialogue, feel free to follow the program on TikTok, a subscription on YouTube, if you will. We go left of Bernie Sanders to I'm having dinner with QAnon. You don't have to agree with the host. You don't have to agree with anybody in the program. We get Q, we get MAGA, we get liberals, we get progressives. It's all about free speech. It's never been about telling you how you should think. It's always about hearing what you have to say. Looking in the comments, everyone thinks my husband is a cop. Amber, I'd be curious as to why. Have degrees and can't find a job. Yeah, there's a lot of that because a lot of folks lied about the capabilities of the degree you would get from their institution. By the way, one of the things that don't come up a lot, because you hear a lot of folks on the right talking about useless degrees as the reason why they don't want to pay your student loans for you. That Trump University case is horrible. Now, it's already been settled, so it's not, it's not in front of Trump. It's not going to cause him any hindrances at all. But I did the research on that Trump University case. You talk about useless degrees and lying to the people. Man, it was bad. I mean, they were telling the folks if you go to that school and you pay, they're going to give you a personal assistant that's going to teach you about buying price. They just was completely lying to the people. I mean, once the person went to the school, they had no access to any resources at all. I mean, they did them really bad. I would tell you to look that up. I mean, there's a reason why Trump wanted to quiet that out. That Trump University thing was a complete, utter scam. From day one, they knew they were selling those people virtually nothing. No assistance or anything once they went to school. I looked it up and I was like, wow, this is bad. I don't think it even came out in the news how bad it was. But I'm just bringing it up because it's odd how we talk about how bad or how useless it is to go and pay to go to college. And the degree can't go anywhere. A lot of folks on the right, I don't want to pay for your degree because you went out and got the useless degree. That Trump University stuff was certainly a useless degree. It really was really bad. If we have to vote for Biden and Bernie, president of the nursing home, I'll vote Bernie. Well, some say voting for Biden is like voting for weekend at Bernie's. However, as I mentioned earlier in the broadcast, I do believe the only reason that Biden has a chance is because his adversary is Trump. I think if the right, particularly MAGA, because that's where the resistance came from, but if MAGA had gotten behind the likes of Nikki Haley, it'd be over with already. It would be over with already. All you need is a well-spoken moderate. Trump's not a moderate. Trump is proposing a lot of far-right ideals in this country, because folks always say, don't fuck your feelings. It's all about policies. Get away from all the emotion. Giving police immunity is a policy. That ain't got nothing to do with emotions. Some of the stuff that Trump is promising now are policy-based. And it's kind of radical. I do believe that if Nikki Haley was at the top of the Republican ticket, she would win by a landslide. But fortunately for Biden, Trump is running and Trump is promising things like we're talking about now with immunity, and folks are trying to tie him to Project 2025 and stuff like that. It's going to help Biden out, even if Biden comes across as sounding like Rodney Dangerfield. I mean, Biden can look like a complete space case. But if the other guy is promising to give people immunity and, outlaw porn and execute women that having abortions and shit like that, it's making it so that Biden has a real chance. And folks, well, that's just, folks are pushing back saying things like, well, that's just misinformation. No, it's kind of happening to people. Forcing kids to read the Bible whether they want to or not. So, I mean, the Trump agenda is this, because folks say, well, you compare Trump to Biden. A lot of folks will say it's obvious that Trump had a better term in office than Biden. I'm just going to say this. I'm not going to debate whether Trump or Biden was better. I'm going to say it like this. What Trump is promising for a second term is completely different than what he gave for the first term. It is completely different. When Trump became president in 2016, he wasn't talking about some of these wild ideas that he's talking about now. It is completely different. So if you like Trump, there's nothing wrong with that. But I don't believe judging Trump based on his first term is doing it accurately. Because, like I mentioned, we're talking about police brutality, not brutality, but police having immunity. He didn't promise that in his first term. The abortion laws didn't exist in his first term. The Supreme Court hadn't given him immunity in his first term. He's a different guy. This isn't the same. This isn't the same policy. Now, you may favor what he's promising. That's fine. But this is different. This is different. With Biden, you may think Biden sucks, but it's literally going to be more the same. You've seen what Biden his first term, you're going to kind of get more of that. If you think it sucks, you're going to get more of what sucks. Trump is promising something that is radically different. You didn't have kids in school being forced to learn about the Bible during his first term or the Ten Commandments. It is a different environment under Trump's second term than it was under his first. So I think that judging Trump based on what you thought he did great for the country in his first administration, even the people that served on his first term, they're all going to be gone on his second term. Not one of them folks is coming back. Not one of them folks I don't even know if you're going to get Ben Carson or some of the real moderates back. It's a completely different administration. If you like it, you like it. But it's not the first. It's something totally different. He didn't have a 6-3 majority on the Supreme Court during his first term. So, like I said, if you like it, that's great. He's the guy to put in. But understand the checks and balances that he may have been forced to deal with in his first term. Most of that stuff's gone on his second term. He has a favorable Supreme Court. He's going to put folks in his administration that are all favorable to him, most likely, because he does like loyal people. So a favorable Supreme Court, things like that. While the Supreme Court has already given, that ain't got nothing to do with his first term. He is infinitely more powerful on his second term than he was on his first term. Yeah, you might like him. Okay, that's fine. But if you think that anything he did, maybe he should have rethought that, or you're glad they stopped him from doing this, nothing can be stopped on his second term. If he's great, then so be it. You think he's 100% correct on everything, then fine. But it's not going to be an environment with checks and balances when everything is on your side. So if he does good, it could be fantastic. But if he does bad, there's a lot of room for some real evil when you got somebody in there that cannot be stopped. So we'll have to end up seeing what happens in regard. I don't want to come across as fear-mongering, but I know a lot of folks are going to view it that way. But understand, if he does get reelected, he is a far, far more powerful man than he was in 2016. Hopefully he would use that for good, but he does have the ability to use it otherwise. It is your boy Tim, by the way, 1 p.m. Central. I will catch you guys tomorrow. I do have to work like everybody else. 1 p.m. Central, weekdays, Monday through Friday. It is your boy Tim, the Handsome Liberal. Catch you later. Same with you folks on YouTube. He doubled the Dow in 4 years. And I look, in regards to Trump's economy, I don't think it was that bad. I don't think it was that bad at all. I just don't believe you need to give cops immunity, have the Supreme Court give you immunity, force kids to read the Bible and all this other wild shit that has come along this time. Which is why, to some degree, when folks start talking about why would you vote for Biden when Trump gave you $2 gas and how great the Trump economy is, you got to bring up the new stuff that's coming along with it. And that's why simply promising to give people $2 gas or a great economy alone is no longer enough to get people to vote for Trump. Because if a woman can be executed for having an abortion, for instance, which is what they're trying to do, I think in South Carolina or North Carolina, execute a woman that had an abortion against the law. That didn't happen in Trump's first term. You have to ask each individual woman, are you willing to be okay with that if you can get the $2 gas back? Or as someone like myself that is concerned about giving police immunity, if you can get Trump's economy back over the botched Biden economy, are you willing to give police immunity if you could get Trump's economy back? Like I said, Trump's a different guy now. He is a different, the stuff he's promising now, we didn't deal with this in 2016. Are you willing to get Trump's economy back if it means forcing children in schools to read Christian pamphlets in the Bible? These are decisions you didn't have to make in 2016. You just got to enjoy Trump's economy. Now all of a sudden it's this radical stuff coming along with it. Maybe you like Trump, but you happen to be Jehovah's Witness, and you don't want your child to be forced to read the Bible. Are you willing to let him do it anyway if you can get $2 gas back? That's a decision you have to make with yourself. But this is stuff that's actually happening. He is literally the ultimate insider. The GOP is literally controlled by him now. He is the swamp. Damn, Joe. You think Trump is the swamp? Wow. Last 2 Republican presidents, Bush, Trump, what a fucking joke, says Kevin. I don't know if I don't think Trump was all bad. But that's why I'm also pointing out that the Trump we're getting in 2024, if he wins, that's not the same dude we got in 2016. I just gave you a host of radical policies that didn't exist from Trump in 2016. And I'm giving this to my beloved MAGA. I'm talking about my... What the hell just kicked in? I'm giving this to my... This is going to my fuck your feelings crowd. The ones that often say... I'm trying to stop this damn thing. This is the ones that often say you should vote based on policy, not emotions and your feelings. The stuff Trump is promising now is policy. The stuff I'm talking about, the radical stuff, giving cops immunity is not emotion, or like I said, these abortion bans and forcing Christianity in schools and things like that. That's not emotion, that's policies. These are policies that people think are bad. So the second go around is not going to be people just going against Trump for tweets and insults and caught up in their feelings. Now they're going against him for actual policies he's delivering. So that is why I do believe that if Biden was facing anybody else than Trump, Biden would probably be a sure loser. It went so radical compared to what he used to be in 20. No chance. So it is indeed your boy Tim, the handsome liberal. I got to go to bed. Catch you tomorrow.